Right.
So we are going to start. I call the meeting to order. Get to the right agenda. Here we go. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please remain standing, and I have lost one set of notes, folks. Give me 1 minute. No. I have a very specific set that I created. Thank you, Dr. Because otherwise, I'm going to forget some of this. Okay, I don't have it. Firefighters and first responders that have fallen, particularly today. The people that were killed in Sandy Hook and their families and the community, and the first responders that responded to that site. These include all of them. And with that, we have the minutes. I could use a motion to approve. Okay, Shirley got that. All in favor?
Aye.
Reports. I want to take a few minutes. First, I want to congratulate the Fairfield Firefighters Charitable Foundation on the 19th year of Santa Express. That's become a big deal, and this year they visited 160 families. Yeah. And their registration for Light Up Fairfield, the Holiday Light Contest, just ended on the 10th, so we'll look forward to the publication and map of where we can go. And today we promoted Brian Kibbe to lieutenant and swore in 5 new firefighters. Corinne Lyonica.
Leonica.
Leonica. Yes. Jeff Sturgis, thank you for the correction. Nick Santiello, Andrew Ocampo, and Christopher Dubois. So they all, and I talked to all of them today, and they were all very excited. Yes.
I say one thing there.
Yes.
When if the pictures on Facebook or something,
Yeah.
and I gotta tell you, I felt awesome. Like I felt like we interviewed them.
Yeah.
It was a tough experience for them, but they were the cream, and I was just so proud to be living in Fairfield, be on this commission, and to know like there's quality people that are coming through to join such a great group. So I felt fulfilled. So thank you.
Right, and I got to talk to a lot of families, and they were all very excited. Jeff was practically bursting. So excited, Jeff Sturgis. So that was great. It was really fun. On behalf of each of the commissioners, I want to acknowledge that each of us received 1, the letter dated 11/16 sent to Chief McCarthy from Peter Brown of the Uniformed Professional Firefighters Association of Connecticut, notifying him of their censure vote. 2, the letter of 12/8/23 sent to Chief McCarthy from Mark Smuda of the Fairfield Firefighters Association Local 1426, notifying him of their vote of no confidence and request for resignation. I wanted to acknowledge receipt of that. I also want to congratulate the department on the kickoff of the lithium ion for the commissioners, in case they didn't get to see that. Fairfield is participating with a number of other departments in each producing a safety video used on social media and PSA and that kind of thing. And Fairfield took on the first one. And it's a really good video of the ion battery, lithium ion battery. Sheila, could you do me a favor and send the commissioners a link to the actual video? So they can see it. Thank you. This is my last update as Fairfield Fire Commissioner Chair. I have 2 more years on the commission, so you don't get rid of me that easy. And I have many people to thank, but first I want to address my closing thoughts. I wanted to say something about the department for most of the year, but I chose not to speak because of labor negotiations and arbitration and then the election. I didn't want anything I said to be interpreted through those lenses. It is an understatement to say our working relationships have broken down over the last couple of years. Fire Commission, the chief, the deputy chief, firefighters, and local all have different roles, and conflicts are inherent in our roles. But we've all taken an oath to support the town, and with our official duties, I think we need to work together. We have a big story to tell that requires a lot of resources in terms of location, whether it's a new station or a move station, firefighters, equipment, and other resources needed to provide the services our constituents expect. And I think in order to do that story and get buy-in from the taxpayers, residents, and business owners, we need to develop a compelling, complete, and consistent story about the resources we need. And it's got to be a story that we all believe in and all have the information and are willing to defend together. Probably the hardest problem in terms of money is response time for the northeast section of Fairfield. There's no one solution that'll fix it, but without the right station locations, we can never fix it. And that's not sufficient for what we've promised to the people. So we need a holistic approach, and I think we have to work together. I come from 3 generations of labor relations specialists and lobbyists when lobbyist wasn't a dirty word. And one of our most important lessons, or one of the most important lessons I learned, was my opponent today on one issue may be my best ally on the next issue, and to never make it personal. I think to get support, we need to work together, develop the research and the clear, complete, consistent story so that we have credibility and can accelerate the timeline to getting to solutions and increase the probability that we actually get a yes when we do this ask. And so I wanted to say that, and I wanted to say it outside of the context of the events of the last 2 years. In terms of thank yous to my fellow commissioners who have been both supportive and patient with me, I have learned much from each of you, and I truly enjoy serving with you. Administratively, my primary contacts are Chief, Deputy Chief, and Sheila. And thank you for all you do. Chief McCarthy and Deputy Chief Dunn, I've learned a lot from you, and I appreciate your support and your patience with me. To the related bodies, including the union, CERT, Southport, Stratfield, thank you for all the efforts on behalf of the town. I truly appreciate it. To all of our sworn firefighters, I truly am in awe of your commitment and your efforts in your role in firefighters. Your contributions to the people of Fairfield go way beyond your jobs, particularly through your charitable efforts. For me, the biggest benefit of this job is getting to know the firefighters in this town. And given that I've been a commissioner for 9 years, I actually know many of them from their first interview date. And so that's been kind of fun. Thank you for all you do and what you've shared with me so I better understand your role. And with that, it's now time for the chief.
Chairwoman. I'd like to update you on several items in your packet is the waterfall. And just wanted to make sure that you're aware of our capital purchases projected over the period of current to 2029. You'll see in that spreadsheet across the top are projects that are over $1 million that are projected, and there are 3 of them. Currently, apparatus maintenance, the addition to Station 2 for that purpose, pending the outcome. That number will be adjusted upward as we get closer to it, but it is in 2026 as a placeholder. And a pumper, and you'll recognize that now our rolling stock through the escalation of price, not just inflation, but escalation of prices for that equipment is now projected at $1 million per in 2026. And the other challenges that we have, and we've spoken about it before, is it is now taken upwards of 2 years from the time that we place the order to the time that we take delivery for major pieces. It's the economy has changed. Our funding scheme, we used to do prepayment and get a significant discount because the value of money was much lower. Debt, carrying debt. We didn't do that in this last purchase, and we'll see what happens with the projected changes in interest rates. But we don't have that advantage that we took advantage of pretty significantly in purchases over the past half dozen years. And the rescue is the other piece of equipment that is projected out at 2028. So that is the $1 million projects. The under $1 million projects, you'll see what is in the current year, the pumper, station rehab, and the shop truck replacement. Next year is station rehab, and next year is the shop truck replacement at $130,000. Following year, Marine 217, which is the asset that we keep in Southport Harbor. The following year, fire station rehab, and for now, that is what has made the waterfall. We have an opportunity every September to add projects to that list, and typically do add other projects that are projected for funding or require funding in the out years. We try to project as far out as is reasonable so that it is visible to the Board of Finance and Finance Department in particular as they try to align bonded debt and availability of funding for bonded debt with needs of ours and the other 18 departments that go before them. So that's our capital waterfall, and it'll come to a vote sometime after the first of the year, separate from the regular. Okay.
Questions on that particular topic, commissioners? Next.
I have requested from the new first selectman, Trevor, to place the station study on the Board of Selectmen agenda for approval. I have asked and identified members of the department to serve on the oversight committee that include myself, the deputy chief, assistant chief, Sherwood, who's the planning officer, assistant chief Case, who is the operations officer, and union president Bill Tuttle, who had requested to participate given his extensive engagement with studies and his role as union president, and he has agreed to do that. So we're hoping at the next Board of Selectmen meeting that'll come up for a vote. Just so you know, I think I talked about the Aquarion dam safety project that we approached Aquarion because they maintain dams north of us but the inundation zone would affect the town of Fairfield, through Oak Road areas, neighborhoods, including a school and a convalescent home. Their only responsibility is to notify the town of Fairfield that there is a dam emergency. As a matter of fact, during the rainstorm last weekend, we did get a phone call that the Hemlock, one of the dams, they didn't specify, I didn't get the name, which dam was overtopping. Wasn't a hazard, but by regulation, they're required to notify. We've made a case for them that residents in the inundation zone. Now, and I have to preface my comments, highly unlikely there would ever be an emergency, given what we know about the dam, how Bridgeport, how Aquarion maintains their dams and is very religious about it, has an outside engineering firm, GZA, that does work on, planning for them. Very confident in the dam. However, they have an emergency plan, and the emergency plan has an inundation zone. None of the residents that live in the inundation zone have any idea that they live in it. None. Property owners, commercial property owners, the Board of Ed does not recognize they have property in the inundation zone. So we've been working with them to develop a message that would come from them and from us to notify residents, because we work on the plan, we review the plan, we practice, we go to exercise about the plan, but we don't include the public who would be affected. And it has practical application. We know that, the beach area residents, it takes 36 hours from the time we say time to leave to the time that many are ready to leave, if at all. You have to warm folks up to the idea that I have to leave my house. It's really serious. And, we recognize, and national studies show that, it does take a long time to create that urgency that is needed. I don't want to be the first phone call to a resident on Mill Plain Road saying, it's time to leave. Something very unexpected has happened and you're in the inundation. Not a good way to practice emergency management. And we want to make sure that, they recognize, not in an alarmist way, hey, this is just one other thing that the town of Fairfield does with the water company. And you should be aware. I provided the utility with some great examples of other utilities from around the country that have, pipeline companies that warn residents that live nearby the pipeline. Hey, we're a good corporate resident. We do all these good things, but you ought to also need to know that, there is a hazard here and we have a plan and you have to be aware of them. So we presented to the Aquarion, Dan Lawrence, the Vice President of Operations, participated. I brought it back to his corporate, decision makers, and got a positive review. So we'll continue to work on that probably right after.
Where is this dam?
So if you drive up Black Rock Turnpike, Hemlock Reservoir is beyond High Ho. You go up, that is the primary dam. And a very well maintained facility. There is absolutely no doubt.
Second best maintained. Second best maintained.
Whereas the Samp motor.
Yeah. But it.
So just to, it's on record, they're diverting more water from that reservoir to Greenwich.
Yeah.
That just be on record here that more every year doesn't come to Fairfield, goes to.
That's part of the reason why we have more frequent water conservation effort, or they have more water conservation efforts that result in, restrictions on watering and irrigation. And they are sharing
Never
that
had to pay
resource.
the capital to acquire or build all that.
Right, next, as you know, we brought on 5 new firefighters, and I'm very proud of that group.
How'd they do in the academy?
Very good, very good. But in the upcoming budget, today or tomorrow is the deadline to submit paperwork for additional new staff. I have submitted paperwork for a new fire inspector. And in researching the paperwork from 2021, we hired a single inspector halfway through the year. That ask was for 2 inspectors. And we got 1 and started halfway through. So this is that second inspector that we asked for. In addition to that, I have asked.
At one point, at some point, we ought to give Selectman Gerber the background that in fact, all of this was a significant increase in fire inspection fees, the fire marshal fees. And the intention was that it was going to pay for 2 fire people. And the town decided to implement the fees without giving us the people. And the problem is the volume of business is such that we need to do that.
Yep.
I was part of those conversations, so.
The part of, so I had the paperwork nearly done. The fire marshal is going to work on some of the detailed analysis that we need for justification. The increase year by year in number of units that we are required to inspect and the workload demands that creates. So
what my suggestion
I'll
is
make
go
sure that
back
it's
and
included.
start with the last year when we had the low fees. Show them what we've actually done.
In addition to that, I have submitted a request for what is essentially a part-time lieutenant. And it's not a part-time position, but it's a part-time funding to support operations here for firefighter training. You've heard, and the union has made significant arguments for training. We have been back and forth in discussions with training director Pat Barry, and we had this conversation with Scott Bisson prior to him. Hiring a full-time lieutenant or a person here would be great, but one person doesn't maintain or have all of the technical skills that are needed to teach wide variety of programs that need to be taught, and the expertise in various tools and equipment. And we have great talent in the department. And, you know, those are the people that should be teaching and are teaching. We need to create a dedicated fund to be able to accomplish that. That doesn't get wiped into anything, doesn't get clouded into a much bigger bucket. One of the first things we asked the deputy and I back in 2016, preparing our first budget, is the ability to create sub-accounts in units so that we can create buckets that we can draw from to protect them for that specific purpose. And by creating what I'm calling misnomer, a part-time lieutenant, it is going to be a lieutenant's position, overtime position that can be filled by half a dozen, 2 dozen different people depending on subject area. And the way that I have requested the funding is for 80 hours a month, 960 hours a year, time and a half at the lieutenant's rate, to allow us to hire those positions. That's 2 classes 8 times, because every class, it's a morning and an afternoon for a shift. You have to do that on 4 different days to get all 4 shifts. 2 subjects a month will give us the ability to do that. So, hopefully we'll get support, both from the commission, the department, and the, Board of Finance, or the Finance Department, the first selectman, and then through the boards and commissions. But we need to start investing. We have made other or asked or increased the training budget for all of the other things that we need to do, but this is another need, separate. So I'll keep you posted. Those 2 positions need to be in tomorrow, and we'll follow up with more justification before we get in front of any board or commission, but the basic thing. Been submitted.
Questions?
Are those the only positions we put in for, Chief?
Pardon?
Are those the only positions we put in for this year?
Yeah, and we have 4 new positions that will start on July 1st as a result of arbitration. So that would be 6 new positions, 5 new full-time and 1 part-time position on July 1.
That covers the house on the north side of town? Sure. That covers the house on the north side of town, the entrance door.
Yep, agreed.
I know a couple of folks are new. It's a long time. We talked about manpower at all the stations, but there is no staff duty officer anywhere. It's the 2 of you and every 65 hats, basically, chiefs as well. And at some point, I think we talked about, now that arbitration is done, asking for town, a couple of staff duty officers. I have no one, and it's insane. You, the deputy, assistant chiefs, and captains, and no one to do any staff duty work. Much. It's discussed that idea previously, or raising it back up, and I understand it's a budget cycle, taxes and everything with it, but there's some support for that letter from the body here, supporting whatever the needs happen to be beyond what you just stated, even if it doesn't make it to the cycle. So at least it's clear that they need to prepare for something that's coming, because there's enough work that I think to justify something like that. It's my own personal opinion.
And I agree with you. We've talked about it. And it gets back to, the skills and abilities of hiring a staff officer will not be able to do the work that he does on communications. So and won't be able to do the planning work that, Sherwood does, and the others. So what we've done is we have fire department business overtime. We have increased our request in fire department business overtime so that we can be more flexible in replacing them or hiring them to do areas that they have technical expertise. That's the approach that we've taken in the past, because a staff officer will help take some of the administrative burden off, but will never be a replacement for the technical expertise that the assistant.
My sense is on the study, is that just for firehouse locations, or does that include personnel?
Personnel and equipment.
That was the sequence we talked about previously, right? That was going to be study and we're still on track.
And Chief, to Commissioner Plitz's point, you ought to think long and hard about how much we want to increase that overtime budget, so that we have resources as we do these studies and try to figure out what we're doing, that we have appropriate expertise available at the various levels of the organization.
I would hope.
And so, it may be that we want to make an endorsement once you figure that out, that the increase is justified and provide part of the explanation of, we think it's a better solution than additional staff positions.
The deadline.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The budget deadline's coming soon, right?
So the budget, the operating budget is in, doesn't mean that it can't be. It
First
has
draft.
been.
So come up with a number and we'll start to justify.
And lastly, you talked about the lithium ion battery video project. I won't say any more about that. We are working with the Board of Ed, school reunification. You'll remember Sandy Hook, the trauma of reunifying families with children, and those families that weren't able to reunify. There's a real art to this, and I've been pushing. So the town has a reunification plan that has been never been exercised. The part of the school resource officers program is developed, follows the national protocol, but hasn't. And back to our discussion about Aquarion, unless you practice it, it is just a lot of good words on pieces of paper that follows best practice, but without the ability to execute, we are missing the mark. So we have a training that will be funded through Westcon on March 4th. The Board of Ed is committed to do in-school, in-classroom training between then and the end of the year. We have funding through the region, Fairfield, to host a full-scale reunification exercise, using some other people to replicate students, but it's something that it's been a long time in coming. So that is a big project that we're working on with the board.
Commissioners, any other questions? Okay, Deputy Chief, you're up.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the chief for coming here tonight on his birthday to,
Oh,
so,
happy birthday.
Thank you.
in the operations realm, the troops had a structure fire in Bridgeport on November 20th. Where it had a fire, major fire, and another fire broke out. So our units, instead of going to relocate, went straight to that fire and helped with overall. And during that fire was when the commercial occupancy structure fire that we had on Kings Highway occurred. So, you know, it's know when fires are gonna break out. So, and there were pictures of that on the website. If you haven't seen, that was a great job done by all under difficult circumstances. We had a chimney fire on Bronson Road last week. Our units were burdened by the SantaCon Winter Fest event, which there are more meetings coming ahead on how in the future this either could be, you know, handled or avoided. So more to come with that. We put in today a foam requisition to clear our 7 engine company or 7 engines. You know, we have 5 frontline engines. We have 2 spare engines that have internal foam bladders in them or foam tanks. And we have to remove the foam from there because it's the PFAS foam, which you've heard about, which you know, has repercussions. So we've shut off the foam, you know, internally so that we don't mistakenly, you know, deploy that foam. And we have cans, 5-gallon cans of foam, which we'll use if we do need firefighting foam of an approved type. But we're anxious to get rid of, you know, this PFAS foam. The state has a program where they've put aside, I think, $3 million for you know, giving money back to municipalities that do take care of this. So we're hitting the ground running, and hopefully we'll have that once the rec goes to a PO. We're going to hit the ground running and have that foam removed from our tanks, just so that, you know, if there were accident, a crash, or, you know, defect or something like that, we don't want to spill that foam. Marine 228, fireboat that sunk, finally has left the shipper in arrangements and picked it up the other day. So it's on its way to stage for when the manufacturer in Ontario is able to reconfigure that boat. So we're very happy to have it in their hands. As the chief said, or as everyone has mentioned here tonight, that we had the graduation, doesn't mean their work is finished. The Probies, they have 1 more day here of local training, and they've been doing a lot of, Connecticut Fire Academy gives a lot of great training to them, but we do a lot of, you know, hands-on, ensuring that they've cut roofs, maybe they got the saw once or twice up there. We want to see them all use a saw here. We want to have them deploy hose. We want to take them in a smokehouse. We had to give them bailout training, so they had their personal bailout. That's not something that's taught up at the Connecticut Fire Academy. Each of them receives a bailout kit, and yesterday they saw the video on the Black Sunday fire when New York City lost a few of their firefighters because of they had to bail out a 4th floor window or so, and and they had no personal ropes. I also showed them a video of a Yonkers fire where one of my friends died, bailing out a window when 2 other firemen broke all their bones, jumping out a window, a 3rd floor window. So fortunately, our people do have the bailout kits, and we're happy to to teach them that. So they learned that yesterday. They will be deployed. Been given their assignments. They're either going to go to station 1 or 2. They split them up on all the 4 shifts. And that'll be next week when at some point, they'll be in the firehouses for real. As the chief said, we had a PSA on lithium-ion batteries. I just brought in the poster here. If you go onto the Fairfield Fire website, if you go in town of Fairfield and find departments in Fairfield Fire and look at our website, when you come into it, we have a blurb right in your face that if you click on it, it'll bring you to more lithium-ion information. It's got a lot of links, but it also has the video that we did. Video was produced in cooperation with the state fire chiefs and also Fairfield Fire Department. It has a bunch of our people in it. It's really good. If you haven't seen it, please see it. But it was well done, and the link to that is within our website. Let's see. Something. We had a meeting on the emergency management side. We had a meeting with all agency heads and their staff that man the EOC in an emergency. We met with the new first selectman and his chief of staff, and I think they were impressed with the organization that we have in place in Fairfield in cases, incident. And thank you. That's all of my.
Any questions? Yes.
It may seem like a silly question, but I'd like to ask it anyway. Can you explain to me, Deputy Chief, what is wrong with the phone? Is it outdated?
Oh, no.
What is that about?
There's the phone that we've been using since the early 80s is an aqueous film forming foam. It was something that was developed by 3M and I think some other companies. But what happens is they found that it's got chemicals in it which do not break down. So if they get in your body, they are ingested. When you're in the middle of foam, working with foam, it gets in your mouth, which you probably got in my mouth, I'm sure, because I was the foam officer in Yonkers. So if it gets in your body, it's not going to break down. And, so your body can't break it down. So it's probably there forever. These things, these substances are in a lot of different things that we use, raincoats, some of the things that they use on raincoats and some other consumer items. So just look up PFAS, perfluoroalkyl, can't remember it right now, but PFAS. So.
And it's our carcinogen.
The carcinogen.
And I think that's, it's been banned for use in foam. So, we have disabled the mechanisms to deploy it, but we're sitting in these 7 apparatus with 75 gallons of it in each of those foam bladders. And, we will replace it, the deputy said, we'll replace its use with a non-carcinogenic foam, but we need to dispose of this properly. It's going to fund it.
Interesting.
The sad thing was that these were great foams. They were very resistant to burn back and all these different things that it made it great for us for putting out hydrocarbon fires with oils and things like that, which normally would, water couldn't put it out by itself. Put it out so it's soluble with these hydrocarbons. So, but the new foams that they have, not really as good, but they're as good as we have. So it's unfortunate that this happened. That hopefully maybe foams will be improved, more and more. But so it was a kind of a very distressing thing for most firefighters when they found that not only that these things were carcinogenic, but they work great. They work relatively well.
And it's important to note that, as the deputy said, these chemicals are used in a lot of household products, a lot of garments, and most importantly, in the turnout gear our firefighters wear. And there is not a suitable alternative available yet. And there are a lot of smart people looking to find a replacement that has the water repellent qualities of PFAS that we can get it out of turnout gear. It'll be a long time before. So as a result, fire departments are looking at ways to reduce the amount of time firefighters wear turnout gear. When it rains, firefighters wear turnout gear as a way to protect themselves. We're buying raincoats and rain pants for all of our personnel, so they don't have to wear turnout gear to stay dry. And that does give us the ability not to, or to allow them to keep their gear dry, because once it gets wet, you can't wear that into structure fire because potential for steam burn when it weighs a tremendous amount. So it has a double benefit of preserving firefighting gear for firefighting and appropriate rain gear for the other.
I appreciate that explanation. May I ask one more question? Sure. We talk about our new fire people. Correct me if I'm wrong, but these, what you're talking about are, you said July 1st. I heard the word.
No, we have four, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, the ones that I were talking about were the ones that just graduated the Connecticut Fire Academy, so,
Today, they were sworn in today.
they were talking about July 1st is when there's new positions, so that our minimum manpower will increase in July, so that we'll have, 24 people, I think, daily.
So my question is, when does their paycheck start?
Their paycheck started back in August when they first became town employees and they started the Connecticut Fire Academy.
Oh, very interesting.
They just graduated. It was August 29th to December 9th, I think.
I clearly got the impression in my earlier months that our goal was to reduce the time where they're training and they're trying to get employed to when they actually get a paycheck. I got that impression clearly, maybe I didn't, but I thought I did, and I think it seems like you've accomplished that.
We're trying to provide testing opportunities for interested candidates to get tested so they don't wait 2 years to take a test.
So it's before hire. Now there's the question of after hire. These were hired in August to start. And then the next group we were talking about is new positions on July 1.
Very good, thank you.
There's three conversations sort of running.
Okay, all right, I'm trying to listen and remember. Thank you, understood.
Other commissioners? Okay. And you're finished, Deputy, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Southport? Think so. Stratfield? Think so. 1426, online and in person.
Yeah, I just,
Welcome.
just one thing, I don't know if it was covered last month. I spoke to you 2 months ago, and we talked about the recent cancer legislation. So on November 3rd, Lieutenant Plant retired, disability pension. I know I asked a lot of you to help support that in the background. Very thankful that we got that disability pension, so he's currently retired. It means a lot to me because Phil and I got sworn in, listening about the conversation of sworn in firefighters, and at the same time listening to the conversation about PFAS. Lieutenant Phil Plant, when he was a firefighter, was stationed at Station 4, where I started as a volunteer. I know Commissioner Ozaki, there was no sink in it. Sink was on the apparatus floor. The sink that you cleaned the Halligan bar and the accident, where you added the foam to the 2.5 gallon pressurized container, was the same sink that you prepared your meals in. That there was a strainer nearby where the glasses would sit and dry. So we've come a very long way, but we still have a long way to go. And like the chief said, addressing PFAS and firefighting, everyone's looking at, and the International Association of Firefighters has a series of civil actions against manufacturers of clothing. They have no one seen this previously. So it's nice to, first of all, I guess I want to thank you for supporting us. I just want to make a shout out to some new firefighters that have really stepped up, very active in the legislative process. And without their action and the help of the state association, this cancer bill would never got passed. So like Caitlin Piera and Mike Schumann, And Justin Crawford, Pete Ayu spent a lot of personal time and effort with no compensation whatsoever, other than love for the fire service and just wanting to do the right thing without their effort advocating for us and fighting against the municipalities, which was pushing in the other direction. Come to some kind of agreement, even though it's not the best agreement. And we still believe that there still needs to be steps taken to make it better. At least we do have something on the books. And luckily, because of that, Bill Flannery get his support. Thank you for all that you do.
Nothing else from the union? Oh, okay. CERT, I know you're out there, Norma. Hello.
Hi, I am out here. Thank you. I just have a few things to report for CERT. One of them is on November 18th. Over 20 members of our CERT team did a complete inventory of the mass care trailer and the CERT trailers, which are right down in the parking lot of fire school. They unloaded them completely, inspected them, made note of replacements needed, and put everything back in place, which is a big job, but important, especially for the mission of shelter operations. So that was one of the things they did. Also, on December 5th, we had over 20 CERT members on the reunification training Zoom call that was presented by FEMA, the Red Cross, and the Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So we're very, very aware of that as an important issue in town. And a few years ago, we actually did have an exercise at the fire school relating to that. So certainly the CERT team hopes to be involved in some way with reference to the reunification, and certainly stand ready to help any way we possibly can. And the last thing is the emergency manager in Shelton requested mutual aid from our Fairfield CERT team for a big toy drive they were running in Shelton, which is December 14th, 15th, and 18th. And that was approved by our regional coordinators. So they're up there today, and then again the 15th and the 18th. And that's it.
Good, excellent. It sounded like I heard a call for actors to be students, so I wondered about CERT at that point too.
I think when we did the exercise at the fire training school, we actually did it as a regional exercise. So we had all of the CERT teams from Region 1 come, and they were assigned different roles, whether they were dealing with parents or standing in line or, you know, taking paperwork around that type of thing.
Good to know. Thank you. Thank you. Always appreciate what CERT does for us.
Thank you.
Any questions, commissioners?
Thank you, Norma.
Okay, donations. We have two. We have $180 check that we received from a joint account of Allison Geeve Garoon, is I think the way to say it, and Jake Albert, but it did not come with any explanation or note that we've been able to identify. And then we have $26,000 from the Colony Grill Hot Oil Run. I need a motion to accept those. Aaron,
I accept, I second.
Kate, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That's done. Any old business?
Before we move
Yeah.
on,
Sure.
and it's sort of part of donations.
Okay,
I know, you know, we get reports on the budgets and everything else. Do we actually get a report of where the donation money is spent?
usually we're
We talked about
told as we go along.
We pulled up fixing the kitchen, which I was upset that.
And that was, 3 years ago. We did two projects, Station 1 and Station 5. But, we can provide a monthly update.
I don't know if it has to be monthly,
Well, we don't disperse that often, but,
exactly, that's what I'm saying, monthly.
yeah,
It-
today was, we.
Well,
spent
do we have a
money to-
plan for the 26,000? It's usually, okay.
I mean, either quarterly, even annually, just, you know, a spreadsheet of where all the donation money went.
That'd be good.
That's it.
Anything else?
That's all I got under donations.
Old business? New business, election of officers. Joe, you chaired the nomination committee.
Yes,
so
I did.
make
Yes, I did. The nomination committee met, I guess electronically through emails. Sent out questionnaire of people who may be interested, and I know you had already reported to me. So the nominating committee unanimously came up with two people for chairman, Commissioner Burke, for secretary, and I'm gonna destroy your name, sorry, Commissioner.
He's
I'm
intimidated by it.
I'm enjoying watching you try to pronounce it. I had some Greek relative 6 generations back, drunk, pick 6, 7 letters out of a bag, and I'm pretty sure that's how it happened. So,
Those were the two nominations that came up that was unanimous with the committee.
Are you making a,
I would like to make a motion at this time that the body accept the recommendations of the nominating committee.
to elect Liam Burke chair and Alex Plitzis vice, secretary? Yes? No?
Yes, I still think we need to have a vote.
Yes.
Oh,
I
okay,
was finishing your motion.
okay, all right.
We needed to name the names in the
Oh,
motion.
yeah,
And I
We
will,
needed the names in the motion.
I will second the motion.
Yeah, now may we have a vote? I actually have vote written down here, so I wouldn't forget.
okay.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. I also need a motion to set in place the 2024 meeting dates, which are listed in the agenda. They are, continue to be the second Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. I personally have checked all the dates to see what conflicts might exist in terms of holy days or not birthdays, but holy days and that. Actually, I have to object because my birthday's one of them. You may not see me then. And so I need a motion and a second.
I'll make a
Motion.
Okay, pick whoever you want. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. None opposed? Excellent.
I just would like to make a comment
Yes, please.
on that is, normally, July and August, we
Right.
don't have meetings.
Right, but we always schedule them
We
now.
schedule them, just for the other commissioners, we schedule them on here. Cause we usually take July and August off, by scheduling them on here, should we need to have a meeting, it is not considered a special meeting. Cause it's a scheduled meeting, and we can just, if there's not a need to have the meeting, we just cancel.
Right.
But
And
this way, it doesn't go through that whole procedure of a special meeting and the rest of it. So that's why they're on there.
And sometimes the calendar of hiring and when we have the list available to interview candidates slips in that we need to meet after June 13th. May not be in July, but we need to meet. And so that's part of why we keep them on the schedule. Thank you for the explanation. Okay, public comment. I see a couple people, at least now with just one, but I'm not sure who who that is. But hearing none. I don't believe we have any other business that we shall act on. And I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
We do that.
Second?
I think
Oh, wait,
we all owe a debt to our current chair. He's done such a great job.
thank you very much. And good luck. I'll help where I can. So all in favor of adjourning? Right. We are done.
Good job.
Congratulations.